There is a predominant theory running around, and I've heard this in multiple places and read it a couple of places, that some of the top right-wing influencers have been bought off to stop talking about the Epstein files. I don't know if they were bought off or just bribed or threatened or whatever it was, but all of a sudden we're hearing some of them say, oh, we're going to trust our friends in Washington. Trust? Trust what? They don't ever tell you the truth about anything. They say they're going to do something, they don't. Trump even lies about tariffs. You know, taco, remember that? Anyway, so we're going to see how much longer people still have an attention span for this. There were 1,000 victims of these people. Maxwell, Epstein, and Trump's involvement to whatever extent that was, which must have been significant or we wouldn't be doing all this cover-up stuff. 1,000 victims. They deserve for us to not forget. Now, here in Texas, I want to dedicate the rest of this video to some heroes of democracy, because Texas is a state, it's a red state, yes, but it's really purple as far as purple can be, because only 56% of voters in this state voted for Trump in the last election. Therefore, 56% of our state's representatives from our different districts should be Republican, and 44% to accurately represent the way the state looked in the last election. But what we're seeing is our governor, at the behest or demand of the Trump regime, wants to redistrict that and make the state 75 to 80% Republican, the representatives who would then be in the House. So seeing this egregious unfairness, a complete miscarriage of democracy, even just an attempt to bury democracy, which it's happening nationwide. But here in Texas, we had 50 lawmakers leave the state so that there would not be a quorum to have a vote on this awful, nasty redistricting that's supposed to happen every 10 years, by the way, as part of the census. It's not supposed to be a political tool that you do because what your party is doing is so unpopular that it's going to be a bloodbath in the midterms. And rather than do things that your constituents want you to do, that they would like, that they would donate money to you and then vote for you, instead their response 100% all the time is to try to find some way to keep people from voting or to undermine democracy in their favor. Democrats are not the best at things, but they don't do that. Republicans, they want to do things that we don't like, things that will hurt us, and then keep us from voting. Okay, so these 50 lawmakers left the state. These are all heroes of democracy, as is Illinois Governor Pritzker, because he's the one sheltering them. And as Greg Abbott, our governor, talks about having people arrested and having the FBI, they don't have jurisdiction. First of all, these people are not breaking a law. This is actually the way you can do this in Texas when a miscarriage of justice is happening and you want to protest. You can leave the state and then there's no quorum and then they can't vote on whatever the thing is. In this case, an extremely awful gerrymandered map. But Governor Pritzker in Illinois, who I think we might see on a bigger ballot sometime soon, just my own thinking on that, is sheltering them and saying, no, we're not gonna turn them over for arrest. We're not gonna turn them over to the FBI. Just go away, mind your own business. So these are heroes. We're going to need a lot more people standing up to what's happening with this regime, because they do not want to pay the price for their actions when the midterms come around in 2026. Let's make sure that they do pay the price. My name is Bill. I'm a college professor in Dallas, Texas. As always, thanks for watching and keep the faith.